I have just been to Buckingham Palace, where Her Majesty the Queen has asked me to form a new government, and I accepted.
It's funny you talk about risk-taking, because I think risk-taking is such a subjective thing. You know, one man's risk is another man's comfort zone.
In David Cameron, I follow in the footsteps of a great modern Prime Minister.
I'm not easily scared, to be honest. I'm too lazy to get easily scared.
Under David's leadership, the government stabilised the economy, reduced the budget deficit, and helped more people into work than ever before.
The thing about the whole fearlessness debate...
But David's true legacy is not about the economy, but about social justice.
So say, you know, what one person is going to think would take a great deal of guts and denial, somebody else thinks is just the easiest step.
From the introduction of same-sex marriage to taking people on low wages out of income tax altogether.
All the other alternatives, like not doing it, are less interesting. So maybe I've got a bit of my brain missing.
David Cameron has led a one-nation government.
That means that I love not knowing what I'm doing next.
And it is in that spirit that I also plan to lead.
What somebody might think of as unusual is what somebody else thinks of as super comfortable and inspiring.
Because not everybody knows this.
Somebody might think of as unusual is what somebody else thinks
is the
of as super
Conservative
comfortable
and
inspiring.
Unionist Party.
And I've never truly been that aware of fashion as such. I mean, I'm really interested in style.
And that word unionist is very important to me.
Most of the things that I love to see other people
But it means something
rocking
else that is
or rock
just as
myself
important.
are things that, you know, aren't for sale this year.
It means we believe in the Union, the precious, precious bond between England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland.
I'm not that into trends.
But it means something else that is just as important.
I went to a school that had uniforms, and one of the great things about going to a school with uniforms, which I don't necessarily think is such a great thing.
It means we believe in a union not just between the nations of the United Kingdom, but between all of our citizens, every one of us, whoever we are and wherever we're from.
Is that everybody with an ounce of sense will customise their uniform.
That means fighting against the burning injustice that if you're born poor, you will die on average 9 years earlier than others.
So you may be told that you have to wear a navy skirt and a white shirt and a tie, but there are 15,000 ways of wearing all the above.
If you're black, you're treated more harshly by the criminal justice system than if you're white.
Do you have your shirt tucked out like this, or do you have your tie over here, or do you have your collar up at the back?
If you're a white working class boy, you're less likely than anybody else in Britain to go to university.
Passing off scruffy is kind of directional, I suppose.
If you're at a state school, you're less likely to reach the top professions than if you're educated privately.
That was the most exotic transformation, I would say, that I have ever undertaken.
If you're a woman, you will earn less than a man. If you suffer from mental health problems, there's not enough help to hand.
Superheroes and immortals pale into insignificance.
The government I lead will be driven not by the interests of the privileged few.
Put me on the case. I'm quite cheap.
And we will make Britain a country that works not for a privileged few, but for every one of us.
That was the most exotic transformation, I would say, that I have ever undertaken.
And it is in that spirit that I also plan to lead.
Put me on the case. I'm quite cheap.